about to be recorded. Perfect. Lawrence or somebody, can you just keep an eye on the chat and just keep admitting people as they come through, please? Thank you. So hello everybody. Welcome to the Regional Grassroots Football Grants webinar. This session is being recorded, so you can see it at a later date if you need to as well. Really excited to have everybody here. We've got the Amateur FA, Surrey FA, Middlesex FA and London FA all ready to go to hopefully start to improve grassroots facilities. Just a couple of housekeepings. I have put you all on mute for the time being. You're welcome to keep the cameras on or turn them off. At the end of the session, we will be having an open Q&A, so you can turn your microphones on then if you'd like to. For questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat box throughout. There are a couple of slideshows that we'll be going through, and most of your questions should be answered throughout then. If they're not, we will keep them monitored. Lawrence and Ben will be doing that, and they'll be keeping an eye on stuff to be spoken about. And let's ensure we keep everything relevant. So this is a facilities webinar. We are discussing what's going on and what grants are available for you for your facilities. If there's anything outside of that, feel free to send them over to the email addresses I attached this morning, and I'll be sending again the recording tomorrow. So if you have anything, please speak to your local county FA. On that note, we've got myself. So my name's James. I'm from the London FA. We have Sananth Brown from the Amateur FA. James is actually here instead today, as Sam wasn't able to make it. She was at a different event. We have Ben from Surrey and we have Lawrence from Middlesex. We are all your regional representative for the main point of contact in regards to small grants and grass pitches. So if you have any questions after today, feel free to contact us at the email addresses that are given out. Our guest speakers are Izzy from the Football Foundation and Daniel from the GMA. They'll both do a little bit more of an introduction about themselves and the organisations they work for. And that's how it's going to kind of sit. We're done with the introductions now. We're kind of set up and ready to go. Izzy will be delivering first on small grants, and then we'll have Daniel delivering a section on grass pitches, and then we will have time for some open questions. And then we will close. We're not looking at staying for the full hour and a half. We think we will be done a little bit more, a little bit earlier, just depending on what sort of questions we get. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I'm going to pass over to Izzy now. I'm just going to share her slides, and then we'll be able to get going. So, hello, Izzy.
Hi, good evening all. Yeah, thank you for having me along, James. Yeah, so just by introduction, my name's Izzy Collins. I'm a delivery manager at the Football Foundation. Simply, my role is to work with the 4 county FAs that are on this call to deliver football facilities across the area. So very much I'm the link at the Football Foundation and work very closely with each of the county FAs. If you want to, perfect. Just a bit of an introduction. Apologies, not knowing how much background everyone knows about the Football Foundation. So just a little bit of who we are. We're the largest sports charity in the UK, funded by the FA, the Premier League and the government through Sport England. And put simply, our remit is to deliver new, improved and enhanced football facilities. We, just as a bit of to show what we did in 2022, £68 million of funding, 1,940 grants, of which 49 were for 3G artificial pitches, 68 new or refurbished change rooms, and then as you can see, a lot of goalposts, which are our quick sort of schemes. I guess, yeah, just to sort of go into a bit more detail, we've got some key areas that focus our investment on. So 3G pitches, so providing year-round floodlit training facilities, changing facilities and clubhouses, grass pitches, which Daniel's going to touch on after I finish, a small-sided programme, which is new and called play zones, and then small grants, which is obviously what we're going to chat a bit more about today. In terms of those sort of 2 key areas at the top, which is the 3G artificial pitches and the changing facility, investment into those is driven through the local football facility plans. So back in 2018, the Football Foundation, alongside the FA, Sport England, delivered football plans across every local authority in the country. The idea behind them is to provide a real 10-year strategic plan for investment into football facilities. We are working off those plans. We're very much aware that in that period, a lot has changed in the game and in the country. Myself and the relevant county FAs are working with each local authorities to review those plans, see what projects are still relevant, where have we got to really look at what the change in the game is and the local landscape, and therefore how we can sort of adapt and really deliver within those plans. We are slowly starting to review them, but I'll be honest, bear with us. We've got a lot of plans and obviously a limited team, but we are looking strategically at where there've been changes in local authorities, where there've been major changes in investment to start prioritising that. We will send around later on a link to those plans so you can have a look in your local authority, see where those plans are. And obviously, as we're developing projects, the County FA will be working to see how we can engage with yourselves as key clubs. Next one. Just a tiny bit more, just to go into the foundation, so you have a bit more understanding of what our focus areas are. So as I say, we've got 3 key funding partners, and this is what directive they've given us for our investment. So clearly delivering quality pitches, which obviously is fundamental to what we're going to talk about tonight. On the pitch funding, to make a real impact, we need to be investing on the pitch, therefore through those grass pitches and artificial pitches. So 75% of our investment goes towards that. And by way of what we're looking to really deliver, so for any facility investment we make, there are 4 key areas that we need to ensure that our facilities are working against. So equal access for women and girls, providing a full player pathway, which after the success of the Lionesses last summer, I hope you're all finding that the growth and demand in the women and girls game is just growing. I know from stats we're seeing, so we need to make sure the facilities are there for them. Disabilities, diverse ethnic communities, and then low socioeconomic groups. In terms of tackling inequalities regionally, which obviously we are funded by the government, so it's a key area for them. Through the government, we also do look and support multi-sport provision. So examples of that would be a rugby shot pad going down on 3G, or a pavilion making sure that how it's built and designed would support other sports. So for example, cricket, or an indoor space supporting physical recreation activity. And then the last key focus is supporting clubs and community investment. So really that being our focus. I'm now going to pick up just on the small grants. So I'm sure many of you have hopefully in your clubs already accessed this, but just to really recap what the programme is, this really is a very quick way to access some vital funds to hopefully really make a difference at your club. So you'll see it's grants up to 25,000, which is up to 70% of a total project costs. I think they should be eligible for everyone on this call. So as you can say, football clubs, sports clubs, local authority, education establishments, as long as the establishment and they open to the community, leagues, county FA, our pro club community trusts, and CICs, etc. So basically the organisations that this grant isn't eligible for is clubs within the national league system, national governing bodies, and commercial or profit entities. One of the things to really make sure anyone's aware of is that we don't do retrospective funding. So no orders should be placed, work started until a grant has been offered and it's been accepted. It's just the last thing we want to do is for us not to be able to fund something. And just to really make people aware, there is a very high demand for these. As you know, our budget is there, but it is limited. So we ask that applicants make no more than 1 application per season, unless otherwise agreed with the foundation. If there are extenuating circumstances, if suddenly a boiler, your roof, something really fundamental has happened to the club, then obviously that's something we'd work with you on. Fantastic. Just going through the areas of grants that are available, as you probably saw on that first slide, clearly goalpost is our most significant one that we offer funding for. Portable floodlights, storage containers, fencing, 3G pitch maintenance machinery and equipment, minor works to changing pavilions and clubhouses, and improvements to small-sided facilities. Just in terms of, I guess, what we don't fund, we are capital investments, so we don't fund kit and equipment, and everything must be available to the community. Also, we don't fund if they're for private gain, and as I said, retrospective funding. I won't go into this in too much detail. I'll give it a minute for people to have a quick look through, but I know James will send this information around along with links to all the relevant parts of the website. But I guess the main thing to highlight is you know, those top 3 grants. I know often an issue for clubs and community organisations revolves around security of tenure. Those 3 areas, in terms of being able to get grant funding out to you, there is no requirement for security of tenure. It is very basic, the information we require there. Obviously, as the work gets a bit bigger, then we do need to see that you've got 5-year left on a lease, or if you're not the freeholder. But you will see that information shows it really, this is a quick turnaround, and yeah, that's what we're here to do, to provide these grants as quickly as we can. So just, I think one of the key ones that I'm aware that comes in through each of the counties is in terms of changing pavilions and clubhouses. In terms of this grant, it wouldn't be for major rebuilds or major renovations, but it would be for work that really addresses health and safety issues, improves the financial health of the organisation, and by reducing operating costs. In additional income streams, so examples for that, health and safety would be modernising changing rooms, privacy screens, shower cubicles, making sure you've got toilets that are accessible, replacement boilers. So really making sure facilities in terms of disability provision. In terms of that increased income, obviously looking at catering facilities and how minor moderations can be made to help clubs with that all-important secondary spend. We can't fund general painting, decorating, and minor roof works, so it has to be those over and above areas. Again, realise there's quite a lot in this, so apologies for rushing through. As I say, we will send this through, but just in terms of that pavilions and clubhouse, there is that requirement for security of tenure on there for the 5 years leasehold if you haven't got your freehold. So you know, we would need to see things such as planning permission, statutory fees. Again, it's 2 like-for-like quotes, condition surveys, etc. If you are looking to do works to it in terms of when we talk about privacy screens, showers, or making change rooms as close to FA requirements, then you are welcome to send it through to the team on the call here. We've got a facility technical project manager who works alongside myself, which will always look through and advise. And we always recommend, if you are looking to do projects like that, send it through so we can get that advice back to you before submitting an application. As I said, the application process, it is simple for these ones. You would need to create an account on our portal. We did update our portal last summer, so if you haven't applied in the last year, you will need to create a new account. Once you log in, you drill down into which facility you're looking for investment with. As I say, it's all done on there. You would upload any of your information. You'll get an email saying that you've been offered a grant. You would then go in, accept it. Once you have accepted that grant, and if there are any conditions, obviously discharging, most of them are normally regarding planning. So hopefully for the work needed here, in some instances, storage, we know storage containers may well require planning. You can then make your purchase and begin the works. That then you can claim back on those invoices. We make payments twice a month. So by the time you've got the invoice, we should be able to get those funds out to you. As I say, that then you submit them through our application portal. You need to provide a copy of the paid invoice and organisation's bank statements. Just to touch on a few things the foundation are looking to do through the course of this year. We are looking at NG Fund and guidance coming out in the spring, potential loans towards 3G pitch replacements, catering units. I think it's one that in my role, having worked with many clubs and the county FAs, we're aware grass pitches are notoriously expensive to run, and that bringing that secondary spend in is vital. So we're looking at some more affordable ways of operating and doing that, rather than maybe having a big new facility, and then just some funding around community asset transfer.
Perfect. Thanks, Izzy. That's great. Yeah, guys, as Izzy's mentioned a couple of times throughout, if you have any further questions, we will have a Q&A section at the end. And I know that Lawrence and Ben have been managing the chat function. We will pick that up at the end, and we will also send through our details again. Each person at your local representative, so Lawrence, Ben, myself, or Sam for your county FA, will be able to pick that up individually if you have any further questions. It's a really good application process, so you should be able to pick it up quite easily. If you do need more information, we will be there to support you, because that's exactly what we're here for. We're going to move on to Daniel from the GMA. He's going to deliver a section now on grass pitch maintenance and pitch power. Let me just share my screen. Here we are. Yeah,
Great.
Daniel.
Thanks, James. I've promised James I'm not going to go on this evening, because if you've been to one of these before, I tend to waffle on a bit, but I'm going to keep it concise in case there's any Palace fans that want to watch the game later or whatnot, or just get a dinner. Yeah, so we're going to touch on pitch power and another fund from the Football Foundation, which is the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund. So next slide, please, James. So just a bit of background. I've now been with the GMA for 4.5 years. I initially joined, and it was the Grounds and Natural Turf Improvement Programme, which really rolls off the tongue. So it's been adapted and changed, and it's now the Pitch Advisory Service. My role kind of predated pitch power in that. I mean, I don't know how many people are in here at the moment. There's 55 attendees in here at the moment, whereby to get out, it was a case of every site that I would visit was done in person. That had benefits, but you can imagine getting around so many sites was challenging in relation to funding. So the role has changed somewhat in that pitch power is a fundamental to it. So what is the Pitch Advisory Service? So it's a partnership between Sport England, the Football Foundation, and in this case, the GMA and the FA. We're aimed at achieving sustainability of natural turf pitches through enhanced education of training and training of volunteer and professional networks. We've got no vested interest in pointing you into certain suppliers or certain contractors. We're absolutely impartial and not-for-profit organisation, and we've got you improving your pitches at heart here. So we're always on hand to kind of, if you do have any questions, reach out. And similarly, we'll try and get through this presentation in good time. And if you do have any burning questions in relation to your pitch while I'm on the call, feel free to fire ahead any questions that you might have. As I said there, the Pitch Advisory Service, it involves site visits and reports, that being through Pitch Power now, support and guidance, impartial advice and recommendations. And we cover all topics from general maintenance, renovations, machinery reclamations, as well as we offer training within the GMA, and we put events on as well. Next slide, please, James. Okay, touching on pitch power now, because this is fundamental moving forward to all funding applications, and especially where Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund is concerned. So it's important that you are aware of the funding that's available through the Football Foundation, but also the services that are kind of fundamental to the programme, and that being pitch power. So pitch power was rolled out in October 2020. Since then, over 4,000 reports have now been produced, providing guidance and advice to improve more than 9,500 football pitches. I think it's even more than that now. Initially, when I joined the programme, there were a team of 8 of us, so you can imagine how long it would have taken us to visit every one of those pitches, perform the inspection, get the report to you, and then subsequently apply for funding. The funding wasn't even available then at that point. It was just capital funding, but now there's ongoing maintenance funding. So the programme really has progressed, and it's really transformed a lot of pitches. Pitch power is accessible through your mobile phone. It's not available on app stores. It's through the URL. What we'll do after this presentation, and actually I'll get some hot links added to the end of the presentation, so you've got it, so you've got access to all of the links that we've spoken about and touched on. The whole idea is to become more accessible to you yourselves. I touched on it earlier and ongoing that it's really difficult and challenging for 8 people to get around so many pitches and provide the advice that you need to improve the grass pitches. Pitch power really does put that in your hands in terms of the assessment tool that we've built is equal to a site visit, essentially. Site visits aren't off the cards, and the CFAs will pick that up at a later date. Support pitch advisors are available to come out to assist you in getting the inspection program rolled out initially. So if you need support with that, or you're not so confident, please do reach out to your CFA and speak about a site assessment visit. But I would encourage you, that the app's been built for volunteers and you know, people of all backgrounds, so it's a simple tool to use. Next slide, please, James. Okay, so what's new? So pitch power, from the inception in October 2020, it's been rolled out and adjusted slightly, and it's now been coined as pitch power 2.0. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but the information that you should know is that to align with the Football Foundation's investment strategies, 40% of investment will go to multi-sport projects. So pitch power now is available for both codes of rugby and cricket in the upcoming year. And based on the feedback from the initial launch, the feedback of end users and ourselves is we've improved it as well. So hopefully the inspection journey is better for everybody, and the information that you receive subsequently in the report to allow you to improve your pitches is more refined, because we dialed down and requested some key information that wasn't initially there, and on the whole the feedback's been quite positive. Next slide, please, James. There's a video. I'm not sure how videos go on these presentations, so you could click the red button and see how we get on with it. There's no music to it, so it's just a bit of a infomercial, if you want, on kind of like how the inspection goes. So that's your landing page. It works the same as any other app. You create an account. You'll first look for your organisation. They've all been inputted from a database. If you don't have your organisation listed there, then you can manually input it. Hopefully there's some of you that have, well, I know for a fact there's a lot of you on this call that have had reports. I've looked at through the names, but if you do need support with it, please reach out to your CFA or myself, and we can guide you through the setup process. We'll touch on that in the next slide if you want to flick onto that quickly, James. Close the video again. So if you've previously had a pitch power account, or you've performed an inspection, nothing much will have changed. You just go back to the landing page and you log in. Those with existing accounts may be prompted to change their password. Those that are first-time users, it literally is just a case of inputting your email address and selecting a password, and then you've got access to this to the system. Again, a reminder: it's not. We refer to it as an app, but it's a web-based app. So you use your internet browser and load up, whether that's Safari on the iPhone or Google on other devices. You just put pitchpower.org.uk in your URL and you'll land on it. Your organisation will be in the search feature. If it's not, then you can manually add it. And if you have any difficulty with that, then again, please reach out. It's worth mentioning that multiple people within your organisation can have individual accounts associated with your organisation as a whole. So, for example, if you've got somebody that maintains the ground that will be performing the inspection, but you're the club treasurer, for example, you can upload details about the club expenditure on maintenance if your grounds person, might not have aware of that, or if you're using a contractor. Yeah, so it's worth mentioning that more than one person can have access. And I would actually recommend that there are a few of you within the club. Don't burden yourselves with, okay, this is on my shoulders to perform this inspection. Share it within the club, because everybody benefits from the usage of it and these improved pitches. So do share the responsibility around within the club to kind of carry out these inspections and have the information submitted. So next slide. This is just a really brief run through for those that are unfamiliar with Pitch Power. I know a lot of you on the call have done this before. So once you're set up, you've made an account, you've found your organisation, you'll be prompted to find your ground through the search feature and then begin to add your pitches. Again, if you've previously had an account, all of this information has been carried over, but please do check your configuration of pitches is all correct from the previous time, because obviously it will affect if you're looking to go for funding. If you've since added pitches, changed the orientation of pitches, or indeed taken pictures off. It's all fairly self-explanatory to do. There you've got your organisations. There's a search bar at the top, and that's who you will affiliate to, essentially. Next slide, please. Okay, and then the similar feature and to find in, you'll only have to do this once, setting up your ground and pitches. There's just an interactive thing where you can position the pitch on the map, and we can see that, and there's evidence within. Just on that, I would just make the point that you don't need to map or inspect any artificial pitches on your site, and overlaid pitches also don't need to be inspected. For example, if you've got an 11 and you've got two 7s, like width ways, you don't need to inspect the 7s or the 9s or whatever they are, just because that 11 is the mother pitch if you want, and training pitches aren't to be added as well. These are just natural turf grass pitches that are used for affiliated football. Next slide, please. Okay, beginning your inspection. We'll rattle through this and we'll get on to the details about funding. So it's really important to spend the time completing all of the sections. Up and down the country, there's regional pitch advisors. I'm your regional pitch advisor covering the Southeast. The more information that you can give me, the more tailored report and the achievable and more achievable the report is going to be, in terms of me understanding what's going on within your club, the resource that you've got, the people that you've got, and the equipment that you've got. Really try not to rush it and paint a picture of what's going on and any nuances that you've got on the ground, or an area that holds water, or you always lose this goal mouth, or that holds the frost because it's got tree cover. I'm not saying go overboard, but please do try and give as much information as possible. That all of that information is in general ground information, so it can be completed on a desktop computer before you go out to your ground. So I'm not saying go out to your ground and stand on the centre circle trying to fill all the information in about equipment and maintenance, but you can do that at home with a cup of tea beforehand. As you'll be prompted through the journey, the questions that you're going to be asked is, we want a comprehensive list of the equipment that you own as a club, or grounds equipment. We're not talking like boilers and kettles in the kitchen, but yeah, the grounds equipment that you own or that's used on the pitches, your annual budget for maintenance and renovations, a list of standard maintenance activities that you carry out, infra-on training courses that you've carried out, or that your ground staff have carried out. And the one thing that's really important is cancellation and usage info in games cancelled and hours of use per week. There's also questions in there on drainage. If you don't know if your site has got drainage, then that's fine. We can do a bit of background and look into it. As I said, please provide as much information as possible. It's in your best interest to get the best report and the most accurate report, understanding what's going on so you can get better pitches and get more out of your pitches. Use this tool as a recording tool to benefit you. You can revisit the information. I've had people submit and they update the hours of use that the tractor's got on it every time. You don't have to go to that level of detail, but for example, the winter cutting heights, the heights that you cut at in the summer, it's all really useful information to have. Okay, next slide. So why do we ask you for this, all of this information? Essentially, it's to benchmark where your pitches are currently, to understand what's going on. So the GMA, the FA have developed performance quality standards gradings. Our mission is to get pitches up to good from poor or basic, or if you're already at good, above to advanced and high. Everything goes on in the background in terms of the information that you submit around grass height, weed cover, ground cover, your thatch levels, your root depth. If there's anything that you're not sure of and you need information on, please do visit the FAQ section within the app, and there are videos online to assist you in carrying out your inspections. It might seem quite daunting at first, but essentially it was built for people that they're absolutely new to it in carrying out these inspections, and it's quite a decent service to get on. So we want to help you to get your pitches to good and above from poor or basic, or if they're already at good, help you sustain them there. That's just an example of what goes on in the background to kind of give you the grade. Next slide, please, James. Along with this is we've developed courses at the GMA for all standards of pitches, from poor, basic, good, all the way to elite. And we have people that work in the highest level of football carry out and enroll on and complete our courses. So it's not a sales pitch. The information's there to help you. We'll touch on it later, and it is a requirement of the foundation that 2 people from within the club enroll on and complete at least the GMA's online level 1 course, which is a 4-hour online course that you can do over a 3-week period, I think. It might be 3 weeks or 30 days. So that is a requirement, but we'll touch on the funding side of it. But it's just a case of we understand that not just throwing money at pitches improves it. It's the people that maintain them as well, and the people within the club that have the understanding of what's involved in a higher level of maintenance of a pitch to improve it. and we provide that guidance and advice as well in terms of the reports and in terms of the educational side that we offer within the GMA. Next slide, please, James. And this is just an example of the on the right hand side, you've just got some points on the advanced level 3 course, and on the left there you've got the courses that we offer in terms of that might be appropriate. So online level 1 is real kind of entry level into it, online level 2, and then obviously online level 3. There's cricket courses as well if you're interested in that, and maintenance of 3G pitches. The price range from £35 to £150 depending on if you're a GMA member. But yeah, there's more information on the website. Next slide, please. Okay. Have a breath. Right. The Football Foundation Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund. When I first joined the programme, there was funding available from the Football Foundation to support capital purchases. So if you had a compaction problem with your pitch and you had a tractor, there was funding available to go and buy a decompaction unit, and there still is through small grants. But the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund was developed to support clubs that aren't that don't have the luxury to go out and purchase a new tractor or purchase a decompaction unit. It's to supplement already operations that are carried out on your pitch. So the Football Foundation's Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund is a 10-year enhanced maintenance fund to improve your pitches. The fund is a 6-year grant providing up to £3,200 for each of your 11-a-side pitches in the first 2 years, and then tapered over the subsequent 6 years. This grant can be used to employ contractors, purchase materials, and as well you can purchase power assessments. It's not essential. Some people find it easier to use a soil sampler, and it is quicker if you've got a lot of pitches that you need to inspect. The funding is available per pitch and will depend on the performance quality standard grade awarded as part of your pitch power inspection, as we just touched on. The grants are to improve grassroots community pitches below step 7 of the football pyramid. There is a separate fund, which is the Premier League Stadium Fund, available through the Football Foundation for clubs that play at a higher level within the football pyramid. And as well as that, the Football Foundation small grants are available to support the purchase of pitch maintenance machinery or equipment. And actually that points that it carries on from what Izzy was talking about in terms of the small grants that are available from the Football Foundation. It is a real consideration for clubs, and I would urge you to think, yes, this money is available to support you to carry out enhanced maintenance works on your pitches now, and in the first 2 years it's absolutely brilliant because you get 100%, and there's £3,200 up to for your 11v11 pitches. But please do think longer term, and a longer term strategy within your club in terms of what can would equipment available through small grants support your clubs in carrying out some of this machinery longer terms, years into years 5 and 6. So it's important to think longer term as well as the shorter term. Next slide, please. Okay, so based on the report that you receive through the pitch power assessment of your pitches, you produce your own maintenance schedule. So if you are a successful recipient of this grant, then you receive the money up front. It's then up to you, using the report and the advice that's given, how you spend it and who you engage with as a contractor, we at the CFAs and myself at the GMA can point you in the right direction and support you. If you have got any questions or you go out to get quotes from clubs, feel free to send them over to us to have a look through, or if you need advice on who to turn to, or indeed, you know, some of the works carried out on your pitch, the more technical specifics, please do get in touch. As Izzy has touched on previously, the foundation don't fund anything retrospectively, so you can't have works carried out and then receive the grant and kind of backdate it that way. The application process is you complete your pitch power assessment, you receive your pitch power report, you apply for funding, and then you can carry out the works. And I must stress, this is a prime time to do it. Obviously not when it's, you know, -2 outside, but once your pitches are thawed, it's a great opportunity to start thinking about getting in for this funding so you can carry out works in a decent opportunity in the spring and before the kind of, you know, don't leave it to the end of playing season, because we know what happened last year. There are works that you can carry out in the early spring, and it's a prime opportunity to get out in the next month really, and kind of get your inspection done, get your report back, and then start thinking about funding. Funding is available to support enhanced maintenance works, essentially above and beyond what you're doing currently. The works are to enhance your pitch towards good or sustain it at the GMA's performance quality standards grading of good, as measured through the assessment. The eligible operations include aeration and decompaction of your pitch, top dressing, overseeding, herbicide application, fertilizer application, and scarification. Money is available for materials as well. So if you have got the means to professionally apply top dressing within your club, then there's money that can be just used on the materials. Similar with overseeding, and to a point fertilizer. Herbicide, no, because you need a qualification to carry that out. There might be somebody within the club, but it's probably better to get a contractor to do that. Routine grass cutting and line marking are excluded from operations for which this funding can be utilised, because it's expected that that is, you know, part of your routine operations anyway. The club is responsible for organising and supervising any works that are carried out by a contractor. Recommended works should be performed on all pitches where funding was successful in terms of your assessment. Next slide, please, James. Okay, there are considerations. So we touched on the requirement to complete pitch power assessments twice a year. This is so that we can monitor the progress of the pitch and provide ongoing support and guidance in terms of where they are at whatever stage, and kind of, you know, make sure we're not just there's your report, you know, go for it. It's a case of this is an ongoing support fund. So a minimum of 2 pitch power inspections annually. It's mandatory that one of these submissions is completed between November and March. So if there are clubs that are on this call at the moment that are recipients of the grant already, yeah, do be aware that an inspection is due before the end of March. The ideal time to carry out these inspections, I would suggest September or October, so that we can see where your pitches are when you go into the playing season, and we can provide some guidance on how to maintain them throughout. And then, as I touched on before, February and March is a really good time to get your inspection in, so that we can provide guidance on end of season operations or spring works. Mentioned it before in regards to the courses, 2 members of the organisation will need to enrol on and complete the GMA's Online 1 winter pitch course. I think there is a cost to that, and I think it is £35. It's a 4-hour course. It's the people that have done it, and I think there would be people on this call that have done it. it is beneficial to know kind of what's going on with your pitch. You know, this is an improvement journey that we want you to begin on, and learning is part of that, in terms of how, you know, why these operations that we're recommending are important to improve your pitch. Site visits may be carried out to support and monitor progress. Again, the support's there if you do need anything ongoing, or you don't think certain recommendations have worked, or you want some further advice, then please do sing out, and we are here to support you. So the funding rate for years 1 and 2 is 100%. It drops to 66% of the original grant in years 3 and 4, and 33% for years 5 and 6. Thereafter, the club is required to be sustained. The club's pitches is required to be sustained at the GMA's PQS standard of good or above, and that's where I touched on the small grants in terms of thinking long term. How can the club supplement some of these works that were carried out by contractors, perhaps? Have you got the ability to do it within the club now? And of course, please familiarise yourself with the wider terms and conditions of the grant, and the use of pitch power criteria before signing up and committing to it. But essentially, it's a brilliant grant, and it helps you because the cash is there up front for you to go out and engage with your contractors and carry out works. Next slide, please, James. I think there's 3 more slides, and then we're done, and we can, yeah, you can fire any questions that you might have around the evening. So other support that's available out there, and I know some of you are really active on the Hive already. If you've not signed up, I'll send the link out as part of this, but it's a really good forum to be engaged with. It's now at 3,200 users. It's the foundation's groundskeeping community. Sorry, all of the regional pitch advisors are on there. It's interactive, so you can post up a photo to say, what do you think of this, or, you know, show off your pitch when it's looking good, or provide advice to others, or, you know, kind of network with people locally within your catchment to talk about machinery or contractors or anything else alike. There's resource cards on there as well, so there's information around the funding opportunities, kind of like a maintenance calendar that's up there, as well as lots of information in terms of what to do where your pitch is frozen, what to do when your pitch gets waterlogged, how to repair your goal mouth, you know, how to do little maintenance on your pitch machinery. So please do check it out. Next slide, James. And similar, we've got the GMA's toolkit, which is aimed at not only football. There's multi-sport on there as well, so cricket and both codes of rugby. So that's something to keep in your toolkit as well, and check out. Yeah, so both, you know, the support there to help you improve your pitches, and yeah, please do make note of it and utilize what's available. Next slide, please. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you all for your attention this evening. I hope you found it useful, and I'll remain on the call if you would like to ask any questions around your grass pitches.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Daniel. A really comprehensive look there at our grass pitches and the grass pitch maintenance fund, as well as pitch power. We are aware that that's a lot of information to digest, and same with Izzy's stuff. There's a lot of things to go through there. All this information will be sent out. The recording will be sent out, and all relevant links will be there for you. But most importantly, myself, Lawrence, Sam, Ben, we are here as your county FA representatives to support you. So that's the really important thing from this. So if you do have any questions going forward, our emails will be attached to everything, and we'd really appreciate you guys reaching out to us and making the most of these funds that are available. I think the best way of doing this will be for Lawrence. I know that you've been, and Ben, you've been kind of managing the Q&A section. I haven't really seen any of it, so it's been on the side. Do you want to pick out a few, Lawrence, to kind of ask, and with our industry experts and Izzy and Daniel, they can kind of answer the relevant ones for each area? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much for your engagement so far on the chat. It's been really nice to see the messages coming through. I want to start on a really positive note, which was Westminster Wanderers, who thanked Izzy for the presentation, but also how grateful they were for the foundation support through the pandemic as well. That was essential for them to continue to improve. So that's just a nice message there from Westminster. So thank you for that. We've got one question here, which was about a club's men's team who are in the National League system. Are they exempt from applying even for the women's team, for example, who I'm assuming are not at the same playing standard as the men's?
Should I ask it a bit clearer or not?
If you'd like to, Elizabeth, please feel free. Yeah.
Hi, sorry. So basically, the men's team are applying to join the pyramid. The women's team are at a pretty high level as well. I can't remember where in the pyramid though. I think we're on maybe step 6 or something. But is that about the men's National League system? Or like, would we be able to apply for stuff under the women's team, or if the men's team is in the National League system, is everyone exempt?
It's probably not a straightforward one for me to answer today. I guess the question being, what are you looking to apply for? There is a funding stream specifically for National League system clubs, so the Premier League Stadia Fund, which again, looking at who is on this call, I know there's a number of clubs here who have accessed that funding. It might be, if you drop through, not knowing, apologies, where you're based, which are what area, and then
it's the London FA.
Okay, maybe if you drop through an email to James, we can then pick that up. Yeah, probably not a straightforward one, but there is a separate fund for National League system. But again, it depends what you guys are after, and yeah, there may be something through. So yeah, let's pick that one up.
Right, great, thank you.
Thanks, Izzy. We've got a couple more here. One for you, Daniel, which is there any capital funding available for drainage systems for very wet pitches?
Yeah, there is through the Football Foundation, and it comes under larger capital projects, and it's not. There's a lot. Drainage is a big issue. Okay, so there's very specific sites that would need drainage systems. There's also clubs that could be doing more to prevent waterlogging of their pitches. So it really, before you kind of say we need a drainage system, there needs to be a holistic approach, and it's kind of starting at the bottom in terms of what is the soil makeups and soil texture of your pitch. So you know, we're in a difficult place in the country where predominantly we're on heavy clay soils, so drainage is always an issue on pitches based around London. The next steps we look at is, what is your soil structure like? Have you got nice friable soil? Have you got compaction? If so, you know, what aeration are you doing? What decompaction are you doing to kind of, you know, mitigate against compaction of the profile and waterlogging. The issue with installing drainage systems is that there's a capital cost to it, and it's expensive depending on what you need, and you would need to engage with a drainage consultant and have a consultant's report carried out to present to the foundation the issues that you're having with drainage. The other point to make on that is that if you have a drainage system installed, there is an ongoing maintenance cost, because, and I've just seen the message come up in terms of we're getting wetter winters and we're getting hotter summers. And with that, you get initial swell and contraction. And I'm not sure if those that are on the call will have seen it elsewhere, where you get sunken drainage lines where they haven't been topped up annually with a suitable dressing material. And through the summer, the clay contracts, and then through the winter it swells, and all that material drops, and you get sunken drain lines. So in simple terms, yes, there is funding available to support installation of drainage systems, but it's a much larger piece of work, and it would come under larger capital grants. And there must be an understanding from the club that for it to be a successful system, there is an ongoing maintenance charge, and you will be expected to invest in top dressing for your pitches as well. I'm not sure if Izzy wants to add anything to that, because she deals with larger capital projects, but I mean, from a technical point of view, that sums it up. And essentially, yes, there is funding, but there is a process to go through, to access that funding.
Yeah, I mean, we are working with Daniel on a couple at the moment. They have gone through exactly what Daniel said, and basically, yeah, at the end of the day, they have got the TGMS report that clearly states that the only way to make those changes is the pitch drainage. So they have sort of followed everything that Daniel's just gone through. That then does go through myself and my colleague Craig Lowe. It then is a full grant application that you'd need to come in for, anything over that 25,000. But so yeah, in essence, it's following that with Daniel, and then if there is, with Daniel's support, nothing else that can be done, then he would link in with myself and my colleague Craig, and we'd build up that application with yourselves.
Yeah, essentially, I want your pitches to be improved. I want them to drain, but we look at kind of the first stages before we go for the big ticket item and drainage systems. And are we looking at increasing decompaction? I mean, we could pick this up after and run through, and the Pitch Power app is a perfect example of being asked to submit your maintenance schedule of your pitches, and the usage as well. And you're asked to visually assess, have you got standing water on your pitch following rainfall? And it's small steps, and then we reach to the larger ticket items in terms of drainage systems. But yeah, I hope that answers your question somewhat.
Thanks for that, Daniel. And something for you as well. Wall Countians said that you were very helpful and very practical with your approach to the Pitch Power report as well. So they wanted to thank you for that. There's a message here from Carlos. I have seen it. Just because of the detail that you've gone into there about Beckton Park, I would recommend taking that one up with James over an email. But I have noted your question, so thank you for that. I'd address that one to James so you guys can have a bit more of a detailed conversation about that one. Just looking through any others here. So we've got one question here about different funding applications. We've got a club here who are in year 2 of funding on one site, but at least 2 of our other sites need attention. Can we still put in the funding applications for those other sites? Izzy, you are probably best positioned to answer this, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to, if they are sites that you maintain, you have security of tenure that meets with the requirements, then there is nothing to stop you carrying out pitch power on those sites and going through the process for those particular pitches. So yeah, if you meet with sort of those requirements in terms of you're responsible for doing the maintenance or the additional maintenance, then yes, there's nothing to stop that. So again, not knowing who that was, if you need more help and support, then drop the relevant county FA line. But yes, in essence, you can.
Great. Well, we've had quite a few come through. There's one more here from LNER Youth as well, which is, we use a council pitch with no freehold or long-term lease. Can we apply for pitch maintenance funding? I would assume that would depend on the extension of the lease that you have, or in a 10-year agreement. However, as you might want to counter that. I think it would be more safe if you obviously had a longer tenure or a longer term lease on the site
Yeah.
before applying.
Yeah, I mean, completely. At the moment, we don't fund local authority sites. So if it is a local, so any site that is purely a local authority site where you may well just be a regular user, if the local authority carries out the maintenance and the over and above that, at the moment, we're not able to fund that. We would love to, but if you can, if we let you know the amount of grass pitches maintained by local authorities, we would basically be broke within seconds. And in some cases, we'd be basically maintaining a pitch that's a glorified dog walkers track most of the time. So it is something we're looking at how we can support them. There's a lot of local authorities that are now using pitch power and actually just working off that without the requirements for funding. So it all depends on what that agreement and security you have with the site. Again, we can send that through, see how we can maybe work with you. We've got, I know the guys here are dealing with some local authority sites where we've managed to get agreements in place where the club will be responsible for doing the over and above maintenance, and they've got a relevant lease or license of some description. So there is a way, but yeah, it's not quite as straightforward on a general local authority site. But as I say, I know the guys on the call here have been doing quite a lot of work to support those kind of clubs.
Great, thanks, Izzy. Ben, are there any that you have seen that I've missed?
To be fair, I think you've covered most of them. There was one that I saw, which I don't know if everybody else saw, but I think it would probably benefit from me telling the answer. Someone asked, can you use a report from 2020 for application of funding in 2023? And from my understanding, you need to complete a pitch power inspection every year. So, for example, if you have one in 2020, you wouldn't be able to apply for funding in 2023 because you never know what the pitch is like 3 years ago. So yeah, it's just a bit of information for everybody. If you have an old RPA report and you didn't draw the funding, I'd say complete a pitch power assessment as soon as possible to give Daniel, whoever completes these assessments, conditional time to be able to then draw the funding for the coming up year, if that makes sense. But no, from anything else, I don't think anything else has popped up, Lawrence. I think you covered the majority of them. Again, any other questions? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's similar to the drainage question that was asked. There's one here from Brett Smith about a borehole. I just muted myself there. The answer is to that question is yes. The foundation also do support irrigation and boreholes as part of larger scale capital funding. Again, there is a process there to carry out in terms of mitigation against your pitch. I mean, we know the summer that we had this year. It was really difficult for everybody, and I really felt for those clubs that had kind of that had used their grant to invest in their pitches later, towards the end of the season, and had overseeding carried out, and then it just didn't rain at all. Full stop. Irrigation is a hot topic. Everybody's going to be looking for water. So again, there is mitigation that you can do in terms of cultural practices to prevent your pitch from becoming essentially hazardous and dangerous to a point. It depends on the site as well, because the Environment Agency under increased pressure. I mean, conditions are still pretty much in drought. Would you believe it? Like, the water that was lost during the summer still hasn't replenished to kind of underground aquifers and elsewhere still. So boreholes are the best way to go, because if you're trying to water your pitch by mains, your full pitch, you've just got no chance, and then you're going to be hit with such an expensive water bill. So do look into boreholes if it's something that you think you need as a club, and you do think that you have the means to operate an irrigation system. But also, please touch base with me, and we can provide some guidance and documentation on measures that you can carry out to prevent your pitch drying out to a point. As well as that, if you are looking to carry out maintenance works, and we touched on it, where conditions are really difficult and you do get drier periods during the summer, especially in the southeast region, in a lot of cases, if you've got the opportunity and your pitches are in a good condition, we're encouraging clubs to kind of split their traditional big end of season operations. So traditionally the season would finish, you'd have a contractor come in and oversee your pitch. You just can't predict it, and it's similar to kind of end of season cricket renovations now. We're encouraging clubs to kind of split it. You can do more in season, so overseeding when play is happening into September, and then kind of early spring as well is beneficial. Just because water is such a precious resource, and you need it to grow grass essentially, but you can't always rely on it now. So yeah, I hope that answers the borehole question in terms of, yes, they are funded through the foundation and have been previously, but again, you're going to need a consultant's report from an irrigation specialist to carry out, and also the means within the club to operate that system sustainably.
Perfect. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, from what I can see, there are no more questions coming into the chat. I haven't been for a few minutes. I don't know if anybody's got any direct questions who hasn't been able to access the chat function. If they have, you're welcome to put your hand up in the chat, and we can answer that directly by seeing who raises their hand. But if not, yeah, that's just Brett. Okay, brilliant. We're going to finish there. I think the main point to take from all of this is that's a lot of information. It will all be sent out tomorrow, and we will all be available to be spoken to. You have Lawrence, you have Ben, you have myself, you have Samantha, all from your local county FAs. Use us, get in contact. We can be that link between the GMA and the Football Foundation and yourselves. Big thank you to James, Lawrence, Ben, Izzy, and Daniel. Thank you for presenting. It's brilliant, and thank you all for your engagement. As I said, all the information will be sent out tomorrow, but have a good evening. You can have 20 minutes back and you can enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Cheers all.
Thank you. Cheers. All right.